go live on our IG.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
All
so
right.
I have a question.
Well, we're live right now, Jane. So what's the question?
So it's covering, the QR code is covering Wolverine's.
I can change it.
Okay.
I can certainly change this up.
All right. Yeah, I just wonder if we can.
Yeah, we can fuck with it. I can also hide it.
And then bring it up here and there. Okay, we got Charles in the background somewhere. He'll be popping on. So do you hit on Instagram yet or not yet?
I wouldn't.
Not yet.
Yeah, let's.
Okay. You got it. Oh yeah, we're on YouTube. Okay, got it.
Yeah, we're live on YouTube. We're gonna hit go live on IG in just a sec, but we'll just give it like 1 minute. Hello everybody. Jane, why don't you tell us why we're here today while we wait for everyone to kind of get in here?
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, why are we here today? We are with Wolverine Dabs doing a live demo of the Seperatore Plasmastatic from SamboCreek Filtration. We've got this amazing new technology that I think is a total game changer for the rest of the world. It's affordable. Most people can run it. So we're going to watch it, I think, for the first time live. I don't know, Jesse and Logan might be able to correct me on that, but oh, here's Jesse, but he's muted. Can we do it? Okay, so then we got Logan down there. Logan and Jesse are both with the machine.
Jesse's on the microscope right now. He'll be able to show you what the negative plate looks like right off the bat, and then we'll take a scraping from the positive plate and show you what it looks like under the microscope as well.
I'm gonna grab some input material to start so we can see what it
looks like. Before we go, guys, let's hit go live on the IG.
On the Instagram?
Yeah,
okay.
Logan, you got.
Let me do that. That's, I think, going on there. Yep, looks like it. And then we just want to really quick introduce Jesse and Logan, Wolverine Dabs out of Wenatchee, Washington. They are R&D specialists and super sift masters running the Separatore Plasmastatic from SamboCreek Filtration. So they're going to do a live demo on this equipment right now. They're going to take material, they're going to run it through, separate it, and show you under the microscope what the difference is between the two and kind of just show us how it works and all the things. So thank you, Jesse and Logan.
Yeah. So this is the sample before we run it. This is just what it looks like before we even put it through the Sambo. You can see there's clumpings of heads, biomass, and stalks. So we'll run it through here. We'll get it separated into two fractions essentially, and that's how we collect it. So after the plates fill up, we separate it into two different stainless containers. And one side will be the negative plate, one side will be the positive plate. The positive plate primarily collects the trichome heads. We're just doing a first pass, so what you're seeing right now on the microscope is what initially is going to go into the machine. This is what comes out of our sifting machines, and this is before any static refinement whatsoever. So we'll gather a collection from the negative plate, which will primarily be the stalks and biomass and any other contaminants, and then we'll also gather a sample from the positive plate, which will primarily be the trichome heads.
Okay.
Running here in a second. We're all ready for that? Good to run it?
What do you think, Simon?
I think, yeah. I think.
Okay, here we go.
I think we're ready to run it.
So here's the machine. This is the Separatore Plasmastatic by SamboCreek Filtration, just recently released, and I think third version of it, the third, maybe fourth.
For sure.
Okay.
I can grab this too and show you as well.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Looks like it's snowing. So there's a feeder that they're putting all of their first that the keep into, and then it's separating between the two charged plates.
It's vacuuming it right into that pathway, and then it's just dumping it all loose. So gravity fed, and it's creating this kind of effect where it's falling and it's separating based on some gravity effect, right? Some density effect.
Yeah, and circulating, right?
And then and it's
capturing. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, here you go. You can see it feeding.
Yeah.
So the feed rate is essentially, it's a very critical part to this process. I'm sure that's part that you have to tweak a lot. Logan, Jesse, if you could hear me, talk about how critical the feed rate of that material is and the orifice size that it's coming out in. Like, is there a specific pattern that you want this stuff to fall in? Do you want it to be thin and spread out? Do you want it to be more of a giant mass going down into the center of the?
It looks like water. It looks like water coming out of there. That's amazing.
That's really cool. That's such a cool effect. So you see the hopper is feeding into the funnel, into the vacuum channel or tubing, and then it's sucking it and pumping it into there.
Okay, so small particle size as slow as possible going through here. If you try and go too fast, it'll clump in the intake down here. So you have to vibrate it fast enough and go just slow enough so it slowly trickles down into the feed tube. And that'll give you a nice, thin, fine stream. We try doing too thick of streams and it gets clogged up here in the corner sometimes. So if you get it nice and thin, it'll come down all smooth and separate easily.
So Jesse, you can adjust the feed rate.
Yeah.
Is it like a nozzle?
Feed rate with this little air regulator right here. And it's set up kind of crude, but so you can see the ball floating right here, and you can tell how hard of pressure you're going to be pushing through it. So in conjunction with this, you'll have to find the perfect feed rate with the vibrator. So this is vibrating and feeding directly into this funnel, and at the same time I have a certain amount of air pressure coming through the line to be able to create this perfect little feed right here.
Got it. Okay, so it's forced, not vacuum. So it's pushing, not sucking. Got it.
So okay, the Instagram one, the questions aren't feeding in, so I'm going through separately. If I can ask some out loud. People are asking if you're in a cold room.
Oh, I can show you. I'll show you the parameters right now. 1 second. So I'm just getting rid of the excess that's in the line down here, pinching it, knocking it down a little bit.
Nice. That looks like just a normal barbed
Might
fitting
be
on
left
some
behind
tubing.
in the line.
Okay. Okay, so, and then, so parameters, people are asking as far as how cold it is in the room.
Right. I will show.
Yep. Oh, and then somebody said, so this is what it takes. This is what it takes to clean up that trim bin sift. So stuff that's in your trim bin.
That
Yep.
Is what this is what is inside of the machine. The probe is actually inside the machine. So you're
It says 45 to 45%.
60 degrees.
Okay, 45% humidity, guys. Under 50%. Essential.
Okay. And then yes, this is dry sift. People are
Guys,
asking.
we're going over to the microscope here to set the camera up on the mic, and we can check out a how many times magnification are we at, Logan? Wow. Stock Central. Look at that.
So that's the negative plate. You can see that it's primarily stocks, little bits of biomass, very small amount of trichome heads. And so typically what we do is we collect all the negative plate material and we set it aside. And eventually, once we build up more of that material, we'll give it a run just to collect the small amount of trichome heads that are remaining. But it's so negligible that we typically set that material aside and just focus on the positive plate. Keep collecting the positive plate, and then at the very end of it, you can take the positive plate and begin to rerun that. But it's near negligible with the amount of heads that are left behind.
Yeah, it really looks like it. It doesn't look like there's any heads in there. It doesn't even look like it's worthy to go back through at all. Jesse, if you could hear me, Jesse, I know you like to make edibles and stuff out of that negative plate, right? Or is it all of the contents from the negative plate, or do you think that that's just a little too impure to even make anything?
I'm still around with that, but I think I do want to run the negative and just all our duff through it a couple times to try and refine the food grade as much as I can before we use it. But
okay.
That uses food grade on its own if you heat it and press it.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So for, one of the questions that I had was, how do you know it works? And this is how. The microscope.
Yeah, the microscope, in my opinion, is absolutely essential if you're going to be dry sifting. It's the only way of truly knowing what your material is and what you are working with. Lots of times people look at it, they'll even use a loop. A loop is great and everything, but once you have a pile of sifts, sometimes the contaminants can be hidden. So taking a microscope, getting a really thin slide and being able to look at it extremely close is very important.
Okay.
So in
pass, this is the positive plate. You can see that it's primarily trichome heads.
Wow.
Single pass. And that's what you're separating. You're separating out the bunches of stalks, plant matter, and contaminants, and then you're separating out the trichome heads. And so these heads, it's not 98, 99% pure trichome heads, but we're close. And this would be like one hand static pass and you're hitting 98, 99% purity, rather than having to spend all day and do multiple passes over and over and over if your material is more contaminated with trichome heads. I've dealt with material where right out the sifter, I've been able to do one hand static pass and we were hitting 98, 99%. But that doesn't stay true for every single strain. Some strains will require multiple passes if you're aiming for that level of purity.
Yeah, that sounds like more of like a unicorn strain, bro. I mean, this type of separation technique has a lot of benefits, but there's a couple keys, you know, and that key is the dispersion of the mass in that you know, in that center of those two plates, how that's dispersed, the rate in which that's dispersed, and obviously static. You know, we're separating these ions, right? And so it has a lot to do with the mass of the particles that we're actually separating. I know you guys can't see me, so let me maybe I can get rid of this ad here. But essentially, yeah, essentially it has a lot to do with the mass of the different particle sizes. When you have different strains, different cultivars that produce different sizes of the trichome heads, and a lot of times too, I mean, a lot of this has to do with how these trichomes are, how they're preserved, when they're captured, right? And if they've ruptured and hardened over on itself many times, that's going to affect also the ion exposure of the mass, I think. So there's so much to dive into, like the science here and getting very specific. However, when you're talking about methodology to do this, the only real method that's existed has been the traditional method. So this is an earth-shattering, ground-breaking instrument to be used by traditional and new age hash makers. And I think the beauty is this is like the first real piece of technology that's been created to assist, you know, with that part of the hash making, other than the screens and the other useful tools that I would say have come out. You know, big shout out Mila, the pollinator was a huge game changer back in the day, and so this is taking, you know, just standing on the shoulders of that, you know, the transition into this industrialized age of cannabis production. This type of instrument is basically, you know, the only thing that exists of its kind, the most one of a kind piece of solventless equipment I think out there.
So, and it's truly solventless. That's what I appreciate about this. It's like the real solventless, right? So I wanted to ask a couple of basic, how easy this is for you to use.
It's very simple. Basically, you just have two plates. Those are your primary points of collection. One of the only things you really have to remember is don't touch the plates while they're turned on. So we have two power supplies over here. The power supplies control each plate individually. So you always just double check, make sure the power supplies are turned off before you actually are going into the unit itself. It's very simple to use, though. It's literally you turn the feeder on right here. You set how much pressure you want with your air adjustment, and then as soon as it starts cycling and feeding, and your lines are on, or your power supplies are on, then the plates just start collecting, and it just continues to loop and separate everything until you are ready to collect. You can collect as you can tell the plates are full, or you can let it go for a little longer, see how much you can really let build up onto the plates. But it's pretty simple to use.
Okay, so a couple of things. Is it a regular plug that you just plug in?
Yeah, there's including the plug for the light. There's 4 110 volt plugs. That's
okay. So like regular outlets in your lab.
Yep.
How much space does what is that, like 4 feet something? Okay, it's Logan long, everybody.
Or so, but it's not too bad.
And then like
from
18
claw to
inches.
claw.
From claw to claw, yes. Is it like 20 inches wide or so?
24, maybe 2 feet, or maybe 18 inches. Who knows?
Yeah.
Tape measure today. I didn't know.
Oh, that's all right.
Would
that's
you, if you had to guess, 18 inches or 24 inches, what's it closer to?
Probably closer to 18 as far as
okay.
And it's probably about 5 feet long.
It can take up a lot of space, and you know, is there any special PPE that you have to wear to operate?
There's nothing that you're required to wear to operate it, but I always wear gloves, of course, and I wear a painter's jacket.
Yeah, we see your little suit. Is that to keep the sift dust off of you?
Yeah, it primarily keeps the key, small particulates, and all of that off of my clothes.
And then let's see what
I have a
else
quick question.
Oh, okay.
Like we were talking about collection on the plates, Logan. I think, you know, one of the major questions I always get are just based on timing, right? It's like, hey, when? Hey, how often? Hey, how frequently? Have you noticed in using this instrument over time, like, have you noticed a difference in the efficiency after a certain amount of of materials collected on like the positive plate, for instance? Is it stop being effective after a while? Like, do you collect less heads on the plate after you have like a half inch, a quarter inch, an eighth of an inch of heads on there?
Yeah, like, does it slow down?
Every strain will be a little bit different. It seems to vary in how it collects and the shape it collects and how the coating is over the plate. It completely changes based off of what strain you're working with, how head dominant is the strain. Is it primarily stock dominant? Then it's going to collect differently based on the rate that it's being fed through there, because you're having a different separation time. But I have noticed, like, for example, this is wedding cake time cereal milk. And right before that, I was running Mac 1, and the Mac 1 was collecting completely differently. The Mac 1 was, like, coating the complete plate. There was a little bit of a different structure and shape to how it was coating, while this cereal milk wedding cake is coating in such a different manner, and the entire bottom of the plate is getting this solid head coating that is absolutely beautiful. But I've just noticed that, like I said, each strain will slightly react differently every time you run it through. But let me turn this off. But as soon as you do reach a point where the plate is covered, that's typically just, you can turn it off, harvest there. That seems to be the most efficient way to do it, is as soon as you can physically see that the plate is coated, you'll also see the heads just kind of start rolling off the positive plate.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, and like, you know, as a hash maker, you know, one of the things that I'm noticing as I'm seeing a lot of the new strains the last few years, I'm noticing the proportion of the smaller heads to the larger juicy heads is, you know, like much larger now. And I know there's breeders out there breeding with fat heads. I understand that, so don't come for me, all you breeders out there. I'm saying, and please, you know, all hash makers, please chime in here. I want to know. I mean, are you seeing a large percentage of smaller heads? And so the question here is, Logan, if I got a bunch of small heads in my hash, like I'm washing and it's just not happening for me. I'm not getting the 70s between 70 and 120, you know, micron heads that are like, you know, a lot of it, the volume of it's low. Is that going to be better for me to dry it and sift it maybe with this equipment? And how well does this equipment separate the smaller heads, the smaller micron heads versus the bigger micron? I know obviously bigger is probably easier, but does this do a good job of separating the smaller heads?
So as far as the smaller heads, I actually have not run a sub 74 micron test on the machine. I have just focused on running anywhere from 74 and above. That's primarily what we're aiming for. I have not personally done that test.
Okay. Something to test out. Put it in the book.
I don't know what work. That's what we plan on doing with all of our duff and all of our other material, is taking everything that has the smaller heads, anything that didn't come over with the first static round. We plan on rerunning all of that just to collect the heads, because there's no reason why it shouldn't be able to collect.
Absolutely. Don't let the small heads end up in the food grade. You can make something dabbable, potentially even some rosin out of it.
Someone's asking if you can put parchment over the plates.
I don't know. I haven't tried that yet either.
That's TNT.
Parchment. I'm writing down notes. We got notes.
Yeah, that's a good. I was like, I don't know. That's a pretty good question there. The jury's out. Next R&D round for the Wolverine. Try some parchment. So do you need any special collection tools? I saw it looked like a paintbrush, essentially. Was it angled?
No, I don't use angled paintbrushes. I only use flat paintbrushes, so they're only ever going to be flat. I don't like the angled ones myself.
So, like they have to have like a certain. This is like a consult question, in my opinion, but you know the certain types of stiffness of the brush or the length of the brush that people.
Here's the brush that we use frequently.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that we do. We have, like, I use a specific brush for brushing off the contaminants, and I use a specific brush for brushing off the heads. They're made out of different materials.
Yeah, no cross contamination zone. No cross contamination zone.
That's amazing. I've noticed. Okay, let's see what else do we have here. Okay.
You know, I really wish Charles was in here. I really want to talk.
I know. Where'd he go?
I want to talk about the cold plasma technique and the concepts behind this static separation technique.
Being able to use like a cryo sift or
well, just like the cold plasma is basically what it's called. I mean, that's just what it's called. It's called cold plasma. Right?
Oh, the actual
process.
Technique.
I mean, this is why we need our Latin genius here with us.
Yeah,
it's okay, Charles. He's definitely going to be on answering questions at some point, probably on his IG live. So
sure,
keep tuning in, guys. Keep tuning into hashfight.com. We have a lot of information on there. We have also links to SC Filtration. We have our QR code here. As you see, you can click the QR code at the bottom of the stream, and you can go straight to SC Filtration's page and purchase your very own Separatore Plasmastatic, as it's called and well known as. But don't be shy. Call us with questions. Wolverine Dabs is available. Logan and Jesse are crushing this piece of equipment and this process, and they are specifically working on static sift and just sift in general. So as far as people that I know and respect well for doing this process, these gentlemen are the ones. They are the Himothes. They are the Himalayans. They are the Himothes, if you will, of the hash game. So
really quick, so you use this every day in processing in your lab, Logan?
Yeah, so we use this every single day when we process, and we're trying to just get faster and faster with it. I mean, I've personally stood at the screen in a day. I've stood there for 14 hours just rubbing the screen and doing static, and this substantially increases the speed at which I can finish all the material. I mean, we're talking leaps and bounds. It saved me months of time rather than me standing there trying to refine and deal with, okay, which glove do I have to use now? Do I need to use a 5, a 6, a 7, or a 9mm glove? Do I want it to be black or blue? How is it going to react with the pile of sift that's on my screen right now? So not only are you getting gloves and that cost alone, I've worn the same pair of gloves since we've turned this on, and I've already collected a fair amount of primarily trichomes.
Wow.
But yeah,
and
the cost.
What kind of products can you make from it? I don't know if he heard me.
Maybe not.
Logan, what kind of products can you make from it? Oh, he might not hear me at all.
Kind of products that we make?
Yes. Yep.
Full melt dry sift, that's our goal. If the dry sift isn't full melt, then we just call it dry sift, but our goal is to make full melt dry sift. You can make rosin out of that if you so desire. Rosin's not my favorite thing.
So this is kind of like an instant product that you can create.
Yes. Yeah. No. As soon as the dry sift's done, that is the product that I'm aiming for personally. If you want to go a step further, you can definitely make rosin. You can make vape carts with that rosin. You can make edibles with the rosin.
All kinds of things.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. And quickly. Clearly, very quickly. Wow. How cool. Can you move it around easily? If you have to move it to another part of the lab, is that a thing?
What was that?
Can you move it around easily?
Yeah, it's on wheels, so it's very
On wheels. All right. Yes, that's my favorite. Oh, somebody's saying melt over everything. Yes.
Definitely. I concur.
Especially, I think this is such an incredible product, especially you can make it easy. So it makes it easier for you to keep up with demand, right? It looks like there's less cost involved just by process alone. If you don't have to press things, if you don't have to have all these secure things that you can just, and you can press by hand, correct? Because it's such a gentle product.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
That's okay. I was saying that this seems like such an obvious thing that it would be, there's less equipment required.
I was referring to pressing the sift by hand, because you would only press the sift by hand if you're trying to congeal the resin, or if you want to flag something out.
Yeah, but otherwise you can leave it just as full melt, right?
Well, it's still just full melt if you press it with your hand too.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's yeah.
It doesn't turn rosin until you put it through the rosin press, and then
Yeah, listen, it's all hash, guys. It's all hash.
No, but what I'm saying
I don't
is
want to burst anyone's bubble out there.
literally their trichome bubble.
No, but I mean,
Wow.
you're bursting the heads, and that's what's happening when you're rupturing it with your fingers, or if you rupture it with a little bit of heat and let's say a hair straightener and parchment paper, then that's just rupturing it and flagging it out. If you were to put it into the rosin bag and press it, that would be the rosin right there. What Jesse's just pulled up is a finished product of 99% pure trichome heads.
Using the separator. Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing. It's beautiful. Oh, cleaning the, okay. So a couple more people are here. Any plans for a larger scale version? Going to need to get through hundreds of pounds, 100 pounds of bubble a day. So, oh, and so there's that one. Somebody
so this
else
is some
asked,
melted
okay.
strawberries apple fritter that we made the other day. If you go to Logan's camera, he's just pressing it in between his fingers, even with
All
his
right.
gloves on, in some parchment. And that'll show you what we're talking about when we hand press it.
Here, let's see here. Saman, I'm sure, is working on it.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Here we go.
Took the sift, so the sift that you're seeing in the camera right there is the sift that I have right here, and I basically have just taken it, put it into parchment paper, and I'm just warming it up between my hands.
Incredible.
And then that turns into
Wow.
a little flag right
Let's get a close up on that there, Logan.
here. I can flip my camera around.
Yeah.
Oops.
Gee.
Oh, look at how beautiful that is.
And this product, you could smoke it in a pipe. You could add it to a joint. You could dab it straight as it is. We just roll it into a little ball and throw it into the rig. It's very versatile.
Definitely easy to handle.
Somebody was asking, cleaning the system after you use it, how does that go? Can you use ISO on the tubes, or do they disconnect, or how easy is it to clean?
It's very easy to clean, actually. I wipe the outside of the tubes down, and then you can disconnect the tube right here and here. You can disconnect the tube here, and then you can also disconnect from here. As far as cleaning the internals of the tube, I personally don't. I just run a bunch of air through it and let the air clean everything out, because it's just going to be sift and particulates. And if you run enough of the high pressured air, I haven't noticed anything remaining in the tube whatsoever. Nothing sitting in the line. But that's how I clean that. And then everything else of the internals, you just use a brush to brush everything down, which I can show you.
So, and then somebody else asked, could you use a small shop vac to collect so that you don't have to keep scraping the plates?
I wouldn't want it to travel through the shop vac personally.
Right, yeah, is that corrugated? What's that called? Like corrugated tubing or something?
You have the bellowed hoses that have the bumps in them, and then that, but you're going to be running it through heat, and because it gets hot.
Yeah, it's all going to melt. It's all going to melt. That's another thing I was literally about to say was, like, just make sure you're not operating in too warm of an environment, guys. If you're not at the parameters that Logan shared earlier, which were about 45% humidity and 60 degrees Fahrenheit, then what's going to happen is that sift inside the hosing and inside the components will start to melt and stick. And then air is definitely not going to be helpful in cleaning it, right? But if you're operating under those parameters, then you're probably gonna be okay, and the sift will remain in a solid kind of particulate form, rather than be like melted to the sides of the walls of the tubing, or when it contacts the surface like the plastic, it's gonna, or the whatever that's made of, plexiglass or something, that it's gonna stick to it. So that's probably the biggest key to this, is just make sure you're not over 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Sure. And not over the 50% humidity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Keef is a lot more hygroscopic than people, understand. It's like, it definitely retains moisture, and you have to be careful, because that moisture can, just create mold and mildew and stuff in your product, and then it's not sellable. But typically you're not going to see that, I don't think, that often. Curing with the cannabis, is probably, that's another live we need to do, is how to harvest and how to prepare the material for trichome harvesting in a sift step. And I think that's probably, got its own nuances, and Jesse, Jesse's definitely looks like he's got the secret tips for that, for sure.
Yeah. I like this feed. You can adjust the feed a little bit there, like a funnel, essentially, right?
What does the dispersion plate look like? It's like orange or something. Yeah.
So this is the dispersion plate. The tube goes into the feed. Feed's down here.
Okay.
Wow, look at that. Okay. Dang.
It's like the particle accelerator or something.
The trichome accelerator.
The trichome accelerator.
Wow, that thing is really cool.
Wow.
Who would have thought we'd be 3D printing the parts to get us high, guys? I would never have guessed it.
Wow.
Fantastic. This is awesome. I mean, it's very simple and straightforward, yet so unique and effective that, like, you know, it just goes to show you sometimes the simplest technologies and the most pure forms of consumption and production are the best. And this is making me into a believer. This is making me into a believer.
Someone is asking, have you run freeze-dried hash through this unit?
I personally have not. I know people doing it. Justin from Low Key Alchemy, he's run freeze-dried material through it, and it's so.
That's what I was thinking. You know, in my mind, if I was running this equipment, and again, you know, this kind of, you don't even need to do ice water extraction or anything like that. But I was thinking that if you had ice water extract and then you ran it through the freeze dryer and then you separated it after, would it just make like the headiest rosin ever, you know?
Logan, can't hear you. Or Jesse, sorry, Jesse, we can't hear you.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, if you took bubble hash and you ran it through the static separator, it would definitely work and increase the purity of the rosin that you're going to be receiving. You're removing particulates, you're removing stocks, you're removing things that are not beneficial towards what most people are aiming for when they try to make rosin.
Wow. So it's a thing. Okay. Let's see what else. What else do we got here? Any other questions? Any other questions? Let's see. I feel like we answered so many.
Did we cover setup? How long does that thing take to set up when you get it?
Oh yeah, like if you buy it new.
Yeah.
If you buy it new, the setup?
Yep.
It takes a little bit of time. You've got to, basically, the top part and the bottom part come completely completed, and then you have to assemble you have to hook up the plates and hook up the tubing, but other than that, it doesn't take too terribly long. The vibrator definitely takes a couple of hours to get all the pieces put together for it.
To tweak it so it's quiet.
Yeah, and just because you actually have to assemble a good portion of it.
Okay, so like you're up and running in like a half a day or like a whole day?
Yeah, half a day you can be up and running pretty easily.
That's pretty incredible compared to hydrocarbon equipment, right?
Yeah, you know, sometimes the 2 day to 5 day trainings, you know, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sure it takes a lifetime to get super good at doing this process. And I know that, you know, I'm so far behind the learning curve with the hash process in general, just because, you know, I've only been doing this for so many years. All of us have been doing it for so many years. And then there's like the people that have been doing it for, you know, 40 years and 50 years and have been to those areas. I mean, this is great to see this come back and for it to be a resurgence, kind of like a hash renaissance, if you will. And I'm really here for it, and I'm really all about it. So I think it's really great. I want to see some finished product. You know, I want to see like Jesse, Logan, I want to see what you guys have made in the past week that you're smoking on. Also, I want to know, like, you know, when it comes down to like just production, I'm always wondering about speed and about timeliness. And I know you guys are hardworking gentlemen. You can just see, you know, that's the epitome of sweat on the brow right there, guys. Paying attention. But how much like bulk keef are you able to feed through this machine per day and actually get a good separation? And with processing, do you guys do like a day where it's like just mass throughput, and then the next day is more like refining and purifying a little more, just so you can like kind of tailor your operational, procedures to just like moving through material quickly?
So ideally you have one person running this unit, and then you have another person that's taking the material that's produced from this unit and doing hand static to finish it off to 98, 99% purity. That's my goal anyway for
Got it.
grain.
And
So
that's better.
you just pass from one person to the next person, and we go finish with the hand static. What we plan on doing with this machine, because we just received the upgraded V1, this is officially the V1 production unit. So
Okay.
this is our first time actually using the recycling unit, or not the first time using it, but we just received it, so we just started doing tests on it. We're figuring out exactly how much material we can pull off of it, because that's more important to us per day than what we can pull off or what we're putting into it, right? Because
right.
you could put a bunch of crap into it and you might not get hardly
right.
anything. We're thinking, what can we get off of this machine every hour? What can we get off of it every 30 minutes? And we're get a good amount of material off it per hour. For example, all the material that's in here, this was only from running the machine for an hour. And this,
wow.
There's a good amount of material that's in here.
Enough to clump up, yeah.
Yeah. Someone's asking the ease of cleaning the machine between runs, but I think that, are you running air?
Yeah,
Yes.
so we brush it down. I brushed it down a little bit earlier, and I'll bring it down again here in a second. But here's some of the material that's collected off the positive plate.
Wow.
It's incredible. For 1 hour.
After an hour of running the machine, I had started timing it, seeing how much we were going to yield. So this is a good amount of material.
Wow. And that's what, and then what would you say is percentage wise heads to stocks in that? Would you say it's 75% heads, 25% stocks, or
it's gonna vary strain to strain, as most things are, but
sure.
This was
on average.
It's so variable, but it's primarily trichome head. So I would say the first pass is getting us around 70 to 80% at least of trichome heads from the first pass. But that's just again, every strain is going to be different, and I cannot emphasize that enough.
Yeah, no, that's spoken like a true experienced wizard right there. I mean, everything is going to have a level of nuance from one another. I mean, that's ultimately like why the work that the hash makers are putting in are so important, because the hash makers are the one who are analyzing those trichomes. As cultivators are looking at the whole entire picture, the macro, if you will, we're looking at the micro, literally.
That's the experience. It reminds me of the Beard Bros, there is no SOP for culture, because that culture just comes with, over time, and that experience comes over time.
There definitely is no SOP for passion or culture, any of that. I mean, you gotta have a deep love and appreciation and respect to want to do at this level.
That's how you really truly, know that you love the plant, is when you're, I know this one runs like this because it grows like this, so it's neat.
This is awesome, guys.
Thanks,
anything else before we wrap up? Any words of wisdom for all the fellow hash makers and enthusiasts out there who are watching?
Just keep on pursuing, keep on doing it, and if you want to do static, start with your hand, and then once if you realize that this is for you, you prefer the product, or you're really enjoying the product, then this might be the option for you. This has saved me numerous hours, and I can't stress that enough, is the amount of time that I've been saved by the amount of static that I'm able to remove off the first pass initially, and the amount of contaminant that at the same time I'm also removing. It's astounding.
Logan, I really love that message, and I just got to say, because now this angle of this camera, I love it so much, bro. Yeah. Turn that thing on and let's see it go down. Could where the camera's situated, would we be able to see the actual keef going down between the plates and it's separating from this angle?
After I clean this up, I can run it one more. We can watch it separate through this.
Let's do that before we all break here. And Jesse, while we're waiting on that, Jesse, tell us some stories. Regale us of stories of hash making in in Washington, the PNW.
Hash making. How about I tell you about the first time we got this machine and took it down to Oregon? Super excited to use it, and couldn't use it because none of the conditions were right, and we were missing some little connector pieces.
Oh no! So
and you got all the way down there.
What kind of conditions were there?
Too hot. We spent a week down there and maybe made 10 grams of hash the entire time because we had to wait for it to get less than 60.
Classic.
Oh no! Yeah, and then at night, the relative humidity at night is ridiculous, dude.
We were waking up every hour of the night to check the conditions, and it was good from like 5 to 7 a.m., and that was it.
Yeah,
the dewdrops on the grass.
Man, what a trip. Yeah, that sounds like that. See, that's commitment, people. That's what I'm talking about. You got to have passion. You got to have passion for hashing.
Passion for hashing.
So we were real excited when we got back to Wenatchee in the desert and plugged the machine in, and all the conditions were perfect up here.
Yeah, this should work well in Colorado, I'm thinking.
Yeah, super dry.
Should work perfect.
I mean, definitely Colorado is one of the best places to make hash because of that reason.
Because it's freaking cold and dry, just naturally. Yeah. It's like where you guys are, I think, but we're at, where I'm at 6,500 feet, and it's cold. And the sun is shining, and today it's warm. It's 60 today, but otherwise it's not humid, by any stretch of the imagination. My skin will tell you it's not humid. Okay.
I definitely, think that with respect to, where you guys are in a great climate to be in Washington State, because you guys are more, the other side of that, where it's more deserty and arid, right? As opposed to more like, rainforesty and.
Is it like Bend, Oregon? Is it more like? Because Bend is like high desert.
It's like 6 hours north of Bend. I feel like it's a little drier up here. It's definitely more woody and foresty down there.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's tough for people making hash in a wet environment. You got to add dehumidification, but then you add dehumidification, that's dumping BTUs of heat into your area. So how do you combat that? Then you have to cool that area. It's like you have to have multiple steps if you're not in the right environment. And that's really essential. And I can't emphasize that enough. Just to anyone out there that I talk to about hash making, solvent hashing. But if you're doing solventless hash, and specifically this process, the environment matters a lot more. And your success will be predicated on your ability to create the right environment. So machine and instrumentation and knowledge is one thing, and then you have environment, and that's sometimes you can control and sometimes you can't. So that's a big one. So I'm really happy that we're going over all of this today, because I think everyone's getting an immense amount of value just watching this and hearing you guys. And I'm excited to see this thing out in the wild, and I think we're getting ready to run it right now. Logan, are we close?
Yeah, I'm gonna drop Sift through right now.
Drop the Sift, boy!
I'll come give you guys a back.
Someone's asking, have you run what you get from an auto trimmer fine dust bag?
Not yet.
We've just used Futurolas mostly for breaking down.
Okay. All right. Charles is in the IG chat though, so thanks, Charles. We don't know.
Oh, he's in the IG chat? My guy.
He's in the IG chat, so thanks, Charles.
We missed
answering
you,
any questions I missed, so.
Yeah, Charles, guys, if you talk to Charles, if you have any questions and you want to talk to Charles, Charles is a genius of many different respects, and so he's very knowledgeable to talk to. But Logan's, the guy and Jesse, Logan and Jesse are the guys who are doing this every single day, guys. So if you want to tap in, yeah, there you go, check that.
You can make me disappear if you want to make that bigger. There's Logan.
I mean, we're watching it happen here.
Okay, so that's the side view, and then the bottom one is technically the top view if you were a bird's eye view, right? If you're over the top of it looking down.
Yeah, this is incredible. I mean, you see it, guys. It's sticking to it like it's painting it. It's insane. It's like it's so efficient that it's scary.
I think it'd be really cool to add like cool different colored lights to make it like a rave.
And some music. You got Disco Jungle. You got DJ Jungle Jane on the ones and twos. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, man. This is a game changer, guys. This is a game changer.
Wow.
We're watching history in the making by Wolverine dabs.
Real-time separate
and
real-time
and gratefully educated. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing.
Wow. Look at that.
You guys are just resin royalty. Amazing.
Resin royalty. This is awesome.
Wow.
So it just separates and then you brush it off.
Wow, guys. Big ups to
so you move the plates. You can move them closer together and farther apart. Is it just manually? Are you turning a knob or?
You just manually move them. So you can loosen the top screws, but I primarily just leave them loose, and then I'm able to just shift the plates to the left. So, I find that that every strain acts differently, right? So I find that I need a different distance for the head plate and for the contaminant plate for every strain because they collect differently. So you need to kind of dial it in, figure out how is this strain reacting? How far apart should I have these plates? Is my negative plate collecting too many heads? Okay, I should probably move it a little further apart.
Wow. And they're easy to move?
Yeah, they just slide back and forth.
Oh, okay, cool. Wow. Oh, you know what? We're going to make some new TikTok things here. This is like ASMR or something, right? Whatever it's called.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's so satisfying. Wow. Incredible.
Yeah, that's impressive, guys. I'm super stoked. I'm stoked for Jane and HashFight to be all up in Wenatchee, Washington one day and see this thing live in action and try some of your amazing Sift hash, guys, because that's really,
I'm gonna come over.
Yeah, 100%. We'll get some. And we'll get and we'll go live with us getting our faces smashed.
Yeah.
I just want to try some of that now. That's my this is like a bad tease because I'm just such a hash lover.
Yeah, we have FOMO.
Wow.
Because we're not there with it. Look at that.
And so this is how it's going to become, how Piatella is going to become a commercial, commercially viable product with Sift. And I think that personally, this is my favorite type of hash hole.
Oh yeah.
Comes from nice Sift melt. And I think that the world is going to be, is gonna really be delighted to try some of this stuff coming out. So very cool. Wolverine Dabs, gratefully educated. You guys are awesome, brilliant. Thank you so much for giving us the lesson and the class and and the tutorial today. This was a really great appetizer, I think, for everyone out there that's interested. We're going to have more information. Please, guys, reach out. You can find us. You know exactly where to find us. You can find us at www.hashfight.com. Wolverine Dabs. Wolverine Dabs, you guys have a website you want to plug?
Yeah, WolverineDabs.com.
All right.
WolverineDabs.com.
And also, don't forget SamboCreek Filtration. We tap in, scan
And
the
we've got
QR.
a link here.
Yeah,
if you're interested in buying the machine, reach out to any of us, to
and
Jesse,
QR code
to
will take you.
Logan, to us.
Yep, QR code will take you straight to the SamboCreek.com products page. So check that out, SamboCreek.com. Scan the QR code right now. That's the easiest way because it'll take you right there, guys. And let us know how we can help you. Guys, it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
It's been a real Tuesday afternoon. Thank you so much. Much respect. Much respect for cannabis and for hashish as well. Don't forget our girl. And Jane, thank you so much. HashFight.
Thank you. Thanks, Logan. Thanks, Jesse. Anything else before we hang up?
Nope.
Can we get rid of the one thing? What's that?
That's about it. That's all I had.
All right.
Okay. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Respect. We can't wait for more. We'll tune in soon, guys. Keep watching.
Thank you.